You know you want to say this with me. Stirring my coffee with chopsticks. Using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee at the molecular level. We have a lot to get into, but first, coffee. Not bad. I'll talk about that in a second. We have a lot to go over today. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. I made 8 o'clock coffee in a French press. I took mediocre coffee that's acceptable citizen coffee that you make in a percolator or a Mr. Coffee drip maker, and put it into a French press, a device designed to make premium tasting coffee. What is the product? What is the end result? It's okay. It tastes like mediocre coffee. I don't think the French press improved the taste of it at all. I prepared it exactly the same way. I have my cream in there and I just don't. It's okay. For me, it's what I would call emergency coffee, where if you run out of your good coffee beans, you kind of keep a bag of this consumer citizen coffee in the back somewhere, the back of the cupboard or the refrigerator. It's okay. Let's get started. Has anyone ever read the Encyclopedia Dramatica? It is just too funny. Well, that's the kind of thing that could easily trigger people. I'm not going to read anything from it. I need to be smart. Do that in my private community. Grace was a photo shot in 1918 by the Minnesota photographer Eric Enstrom. The subject, Charles Wilden, was a peddler that lived in a sod house. He was paid $5 to be the subject of the photo. The original was a black and white photo, later colorized by the photographer's daughter. And it's a photo, or now a print, that I know in my generation, a lot of grandmoms and grandpops had a picture of this man just praying, a bearded man, similar to like my length beard, praying over a bowl of soup and a loaf of bread. And there was a knife and maybe a big book. It might have been a Bible. It looks like it would be bigger than a Bible. Bibles aren't that thick. And he's in a gray, he's got the gray hair, the gray beard, a green, looks like a flannel shirt on, similar to the green flannel shirt that I have. I actually did a video for that. I'll put a link for it where I copied the picture. But that was in many kitchens and dining rooms of a guy just doing this with a loaf of bread and a bowl of soup, giving thanks before he eats. That's the story behind the print called Grace. I had the opportunity to watch George Bruno do a voiceover. It was interesting to watch it being done. George Bruno is so professional and can change his voice at will. That was a testimonial by R. Batista. You must be a parking ticket because you've got fine written all over you. Really bad pickup line. Whenever you see a man with a big giant beard, which I had at one time, I've had many big beards over my lifetime. It used to be, my hair used to be black. Now my hair is gray and my beard is white. And when I had a big black beard, it really didn't draw any attention at the time. As soon as my hair turned white, all of a sudden I started getting attention with this beard, which was an interesting phenomenon. So whenever you see a person with a huge beard, think this: patience, pure patience. When you see a man with a big beard, you don't see a man who's into instant gratification. He thinks before he speaks. He expects nothing fast. Has long-term goals as he quietly chips away at his beard, his life. He paces himself. If big beards could talk, they would be saying, relax, in good time. So for you guys that are growing out huge beards, nothing great ever happens overnight. And I'm of the belief that all beards are beautiful. I was the guy 3 years ago arguing with douchebags about patchy beards. Actually getting into arguments with idiots about beards. That's why I somewhat distanced myself from the beard community. Excuse me, can you help me find the beard community? Yes, it's down about 2 blocks, make a left, and then your first right, and you'll see a bunch of men with beards. That's the beard community. I hate anything with community after it. The beard community. Anyways, I remember in the 70s, Bob Seger's first album came out. And he has a very, very sparse beard. Look up his first album, the album with the song Night Moves on it. Very patchy beard. I thought it was good looking. I think all facial hair looks good. I don't care if you look like Santa Claus or a wizard or Gandalf or the most interesting man in the world, or you look like Kid Rock. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's the one thing that men can hang on to that a woman can't call hers. Or, I can do that too. Like, whatever. I like women who like their men to be men. And I hang out with dudes who enjoy being men, and I love being around women who love being women. It's refreshing. It really is. I know. I already know what the red pill purists are going to say. But that's all right. When you listen to classical music in the car, do you find yourself conducting music at red lights? I did a poll. 22% said yes. 31% said no. 9% said, what's classical music? 38% said, I conduct to Iron Maiden. I put that in there. I do. When I'm listening to, if it happens to be a Bach morning, and I'll get you guys into classical music. Those that are not into it, I'll get you into it. You watch. And if you've sat in the chill chair at the salon, you've heard classical music and you liked it. But I come to a red light if I'm listening to Bach or Beethoven or Mozart or Handel, and you have your hands on the steering wheel, you're waiting for the light to turn green, and you're doing this. Like that, and you're looking around, making sure that no one's seeing. Like, I don't care. I'm in full conductor mode when I'm at a red light. And then as soon as it turns, and of course, the people alongside of me or behind me are thinking, what the actual is going on here? Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. You must conduct when you listen to classical music. Let's talk about the last 5 reasons, part 2, of why you must speak better. And this is from my ebook called Speak Well, Earn More, and from my coaching, which teaches you how to speak better. I do it in person. Number 5, it leads to a more effective social and personal life. Networking events become easier. Impromptu speeches become effortless. There's always times when someone says, why don't you come up here and tell us a few words about, or share a little bit about When you know how to speak well, that's a beautiful thing. It's not something to panic at. Number 6, people will model after your speaking skills, bosses, employees, clients, children, etc., when you speak well. You unconsciously raise the bar of conversation when you speak well. You raise the bar with your speaking style, your content. Everyone around you benefits when you speak well. Slang and nonsense talk flee in the presence of a conscious, effective speaker. Listen close. In a world where slang, street talk, bro talk, shit talk is prevalent everywhere, even in the workplace, slang and nonsense talk flee in the presence of a conscious, effective speaker. That's what I teach you how to be. Speaking well makes you a more interesting and compelling person. People like to be around an interesting, good, effective speaker, even if it's sitting in a diner. They love to hear what you have to say. They learn from your style, your cadence, your humor, and your content. 8, it makes you an overall better communicator, written and verbal. I have found that the best writers, and you heard me say this, are those that write in a conversational style. I tell people, write how you talk. If you don't like how you're writing, change how you're talking. When you perfect your speaking and conversational style, you'll find that your writing will be nearly effortless. Personally, I have become very conscious of this as I have grown in my lifetime. I've gotten compliments on my writing for a couple decades now when I made that change. This benefits in your copywriting as well. You'll write better sales letters, ad copy, marketing pieces. Your blogging becomes compelling and much more attractive. Even comments you make on people's YouTube channels will be intelligent. And for me, it's always the 80-20 rule. I get 80% great comments on my videos and 20% not so great. Your readership or subscribership, when you learn how to speak better, will always magically increase when you learn how to write and speak better. Number 9, the better communicator always gets picked over the weaker communicator in all areas of life. So it's your responsibility to be the best speaker in your circles, whether it be in business, sports, church, politics, or sitting around a table with your friends. Assume the responsibility of being the best speaker in your circle. And the bottom line, my favorite part. People who speak better earn more. The research is conclusive. Your income increases when you improve your speaking skills. So let me ask you this. What will you do today to improve your skills, your speaking skills? I would love to hear that. Put that in the comments down below. That would be really cool. Thank you to one of my subscribers who made the Daybreak Show coffee mug today. Let's look at some real news and fake news. Which I can hardly tell the difference between anymore. Yesterday, at the top of the headlines was Jeff Bezos' divorce. At the top of the headlines today, I see White House readies for Ruth Bader Ginsburg departure. This is from Politico. And you know, I'm not I guess what you would call a political person. I have values. I have the values of your grandfather. Unless your grandfather was a cross-dressing, show tunes loving guy, I probably have the values of your grandfather. So for you more left-leaning people who like to hammer conservatives, your grandfather or great-grandfather probably was more conservative than me. But I'm not hammering you or pointing the fingers at you. I will still be your friend, but my experience is that you will not be my friend. So who is the real tolerant person? Who is the more free flow? I have no stops in my life. Like, there's no things that make me stop. I liked you until I heard that you voted for Trump. I liked you when... It's like, really? Really? Okay, limit yourself. Go ahead. That's fine. Trump House urging allies to prepare for possible Ruth Bader Ginsburg departure. After an ailing Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg missed oral arguments, the Trump team began early groundwork for another potential confirmation battle. The White House is reaching out to political allies and conservative activist groups to prepare for ailing Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's possible death or departure from the Supreme Court, an event that would trigger the second bitter confirmation battle of President Donald Trump's tenure. The outreach began after Ginsburg, 85, on Monday missed oral arguments at the court for the first time in 25 years on the bench. The justice, who was nominated to the court by President Bill Clinton in 1993, announced in late December that she underwent a surgical procedure to remove 2 cancerous growths from her lungs. The White House is taking the temperature on possible short-lived candidates, reaching out to key stakeholders, and just making sure that people are informed of the process, said a source. They're doing it very quietly, of course, because the idea is not to be opportunistic, just to be prepared so we aren't caught flat-footed. The 9-member court is currently divided 5-4 between its conservative and liberal wings. Ginsburg's departure would allow Trump to create the court's strongest conservative majority in decades, a scenario sure to bring intense opposition from Democrats and liberal activists still furious over the October confirmation of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Wings, right wing and left wing. Airplanes have 2 wings, a right wing and a left wing. And guess what? The airplane takes off and it lands. It goes where it's going to go with both wings. The plane doesn't split in midair and go in separate. Just remember that. It doesn't go in separate directions. Both wings all land in the same place. Now I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist. Keep that in mind, you lefties out there. All wings on the plane end up in the same place. Do not allow the media to divide us. You think your enemy is, if you're black, you might think your enemy is the white man. If you are a Democrat, you think your enemy is the conservative man. If you're a male, you think your enemy is female. If you're female, you think your enemy is masculine men or conservative men or whatever. You wouldn't know any of this if you didn't listen to the news or watch TV or read propaganda. Which leads me to reading some more news. Boss kills secretary for popping her gun. Amsterdam, Netherlands. Accountant Carl Rotterdam killed his secretary because she popped her chewing gum. The 45-year-old father of 3 said he just couldn't think clearly while Anna Reich was popping her gum, and he repeatedly asked her to spit it out. I blocked out the irritating noise for years, but it was tax time, and I was way behind schedule. He told a judge in his murder trial, I just couldn't take it anymore. Rotterdam was sentenced to a psychiatric facility after pleading temporary insanity. Mexico City. Thousands of people lost their jobs when a disc jockey jokingly announced that anyone who pulled down his boss's pants and brought them to the station would receive a check for $5,000. Pedro Rego, 25, was suspended without pay pending an investigation. The DJ has been unavailable for comment, but station manager Enrique Gonzalez told reporters he obviously didn't consult with the management. A pimple cure is killing teens. Teenagers in Brazil are dropping like flies from heart attacks and strokes while trying to sweat off their pimples. Health authorities say that a false rumor that perspiration helps clean the pores and gets rid of acne has triggered an epidemic of teenage deaths. The kids exercise heavily in heated rooms, hoping to banish their zits, but wind up dying of heat stroke and overexertion. Officials say that 168 kids have died in the past 2 years from the bizarre pimple remedy. And that today is the news. Which one is real and which one is fake? It's hard to tell, isn't it? Which leads me to say this. The real news is this, is that you're going to get unstuck in 2019. The real news is that you're in a rut. The real news is that you've stayed longer in your current state of darkness, depression, and inactivity for too long. I can relate to that. After my divorce, I stayed 9 years in an apartment, 9 years. I look back on it now and I say, wow, I should have stayed only 2 years. Earlier in my life, I found myself staying in certain places too long, not moving fast enough. And I found that it was mainly fear. It wasn't procrastination. People say, well, you're just procrastinating. No, I wasn't procrastinating. I'm glad people said that because it actually detracted and deflected from the truth, which was fear. People don't realize that when you fear change, you're paralyzed. You don't act, you don't move, you stay in your comfort zone. And as I've said for years, everything that you want, you're in your comfort bubble, but everything that you want and need in life for growth is outside that bubble. Everything you want in life is outside your comfort zone. 2018, poof, gone. 2019, the year you get unstuck. 2020, the year that you could make your first million. And with that, I'm going to say finish your coffee, and I will see you tomorrow morning.